Good evening. Good evening. Thank you all for joining us this afternoon or evening. My name is Mackenzie Haynes, and I am the Director of Career Services and Academic Success at Midway University. And I am very excited to be offering this workshop tonight so that anyone who's interested can get a little bit of help on professional development. I know right now the idea of professional development seems a little crazy when most people are just trying to find a job. But I do believe deeply that this can be a really important time to take the time and to kind of polish up your professional image, maybe gather some additional skills or get some different opportunities going. So I thank you all for taking the time out of your busy schedules and your busy life to join us tonight. I hope that you will find some things that are worth your while and beneficial for you. I have a couple different things about Zoom I want to make sure that you're aware of so that you have all the tools that you need to be able to be successful. First of all, it's important to know that I had muted everybody upon entrance, so you will not, you can unmute yourself if you have a question along the way, but you are muted right now. You also have your cameras are automatically turned off. So if you are interested in sharing camera on something, give me a heads up, and then I will work on getting the permission sent over for that. But we should be good with just doing just with the chat today. I also have Matthew Bunch on here. He is one of our team members on our evening online and graduate school admissions team. And so if you have any questions specifically about the admissions process at Midway University, then Matt will be able to help you out with that. Another thing for you all to know is we have a chat function that is live here in our Zoom. So if you have a question to ask, what you can do is either along the top or the bottom of your screen, there should be an area and you should be able to see a little icon for chat. You can enter in a chat there and it will pop up. You can choose to chat specifically to everyone or just to the host. So you can look at that at the bottom before you hit the right beside where it says to. You can change it from everyone to the co-host or to the co-host, and then that will go to whoever you designate. So I think that is most of our housekeeping and to-dos. I am recording this so that we can have access to this on later dates. So if your internet drops during part of this, send me an email and I will get the recording over to you as quickly as possible. Okay, let's get started. All right, so it's important, as we all know, to realize that our lives have changed. Something that we all know pretty well, right? Our lives have changed. So whether you're a boomer, a Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z, you still need a career. And in this ever-changing environment that we have going right now, it's really important to take the time to ensure that the work that you're putting out there is represented the best way possible. And so what that means is going through a couple of steps that we're going to be talking through tonight to make sure that your professional image represents the hard work and dedication that you've put in over the years. We want to make sure that what you've done is shining through on the professional documents that you have, as well as through the different things that you're doing to really show your skills and to highlight your abilities, okay? So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be talking about combining the efforts of networking online. So that's going to be where we're really going to be talking and diving deep into LinkedIn. We're also going to be talking about combining the efforts of creating effective career documents. And by career documents specifically, I'm talking about that resume, the cover letter, the reference sheet. And if you're thinking about working in academia, then that would be a curriculum vitae or a CV. And so if you're going that direction, please put that in the chat that you're interested in knowing a little bit more about what a CV is versus a resume. And I'll make sure that I pepper in some information about that as well while we're talking tonight. Okay, next thing that we're going to do is kind of talk about some of the new skills. And we're all going to need a whole lot of perseverance right now. It takes a lot of grit and a lot of effort to continue to get up and go and do the next thing the next day. Statistically, it does take a long time to find a new position, but through a couple of the different things that we're talking about tonight, you're going to see that potentially there might have been some wasted energy in the past, and there possibly could be some ways that you really focus in your attention, and so you feel like you're moving somewhere and you're moving a little bit faster. So hopefully we're going to be able to help you with that tonight. So the first thing that we're going to jump into tonight is just kind of looking over our workshop. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to provide an overview of LinkedIn, and I'm going to give you 5 steps to get started building your digital presence today. It's extremely important in the world of here's my phone, here's what I'm going to do with it, that we make sure that when someone's Googling us, that they find the best version of us. And one of the top ways to do that is to create a LinkedIn and to keep it relevant. There's a couple of different things that you can do on LinkedIn to ensure that it comes up higher in the Google search, as well as it is something that within LinkedIn is really working for the different search engine optimization features that it has in LinkedIn, and that the things that you're doing in LinkedIn are keeping you a little bit higher on the list of viable candidates for the recruiters who are using the algorithms that are in LinkedIn to find and source candidates. So those are some things that, I know it's a lot of big things, but we're going to take it bit by bit so that every bit of it can be understood and applied. The next thing that we're going to go over is resume basics and tips for maximizing your space and employing effective keywords. You can have a very beautiful resume using any of the different templates that are in Microsoft Word or that you can find online, but they don't always maximize the space to the best potential for you. And so we want to make sure that we understand how to use the space on a resume, and then also how to optimize the words that we're using on our resume to ensure that they're helping us as much as possible. Next, we're going to talk about online interviewing. That is going to be extremely valuable right now with so many of us having remote work and remote work opportunities coming at us. We want to make sure that we are as prepared as possible to show our best self. And so that might mean having a simple background. And we'll get into a couple more tips as we get closer to that section of the evening. Again, if you have questions anytime throughout, please let me know. Please put it over in the chat function, and then we will be keeping an eye on that so we can answer your questions along the way. The last thing that we're going to do is discuss options for developing your professional skills during the healthy at home that we're in right now. So LinkedIn, I'm really excited about this. We're going to jump into this here. I think it is an extremely powerful social networking tool. So if you've never heard of LinkedIn, LinkedIn is kind of like a mix between Indeed, a job engine, job search engine, and like Facebook. So when you mix those two together, you find something that is extremely professional in nature, but also social. So what I think about when I am talking about LinkedIn and I'm helping our clients and our students look at LinkedIn and figure out how to use LinkedIn for them is there's 2 parts to this. One is the content. You have to make sure that the content that you have on your page that represents you and your professional self is professional, it's clean, it's organized, it's easy for recruiters to read, and it's optimized for the algorithms so that you are popping up where you want to pop up for all of the different recruiters that are in the system. The second part of this is engagement. If you are only using this as an online resume, you're missing out. There's this huge engagement piece to LinkedIn, which keeps you relevant, which keeps your relevant there for recruiters and in that search. It also provides you this opportunity to start getting connected with thought leaders in your area. And it allows you the opportunity to really get those connections that you might not have already had, that you can really start to grow and build in this online community. And right now, when the online community is the only community we have, it seems like, it's really important to get in there and start utilizing that. So that's what we're going to be working on tonight. And I'm actually going to switch the screen over, and I'm going to get into my LinkedIn account because I know that some of us have never done LinkedIn or never been in LinkedIn before. So I'm going to give us the chance to get in there and kind of see what it's like, see how we can play around in it. All right, so hopefully you can see my LinkedIn right now. I'm going to open up the chat. Matt, can you put in there and let me know if you can see my screen and see my LinkedIn account? I want to make sure that it's good. Okay, perfect. Thanks so much, Matt. Okay, so this is LinkedIn. This is the home page of LinkedIn. So when you create your LinkedIn account and you log in, this is what you see. Beautiful, right? So this is how it's kind of like old school Facebook. This is your news right here. You can scan through. You can see news from people that you're connected to. Of course, there's also promoted. That's the same thing as sponsored. And then you get notifications of connections, which I really love to see. So that's what this is going on right here. Over on the left-hand side, that is a little just kind of preview of what my profile looks like. And we're going to get over into the profile here in a minute. But I want to make sure you see everything. One of the really great things is you can see who's viewed your profile. If you do the premium, that's a paid membership. And you can use that to really up your game when you're doing your job search and when you're trying to find kind of that next step, that next stage. And then this is just groups I'm a part of or events that I follow or some hashtags that I could follow. Anything that's trending that is important to me, I can have over there. Okay. Oh, here along the top, you see the search bar here, the home, my network, that is all of my connections. So Facebook world, that's your friends. Here, it's your network. It's your connections that you have, the people that you're connected to professionally. In LinkedIn, what I like is it's not as obscure as Facebook, where, just all these random people who might have been, your neighbors, uncles, granddads, nephew. You really want to focus your network on people that are relevant to you. And so in that, it could be somebody who you met at a conference. That would be somebody that you would want to network with, or a coworker. So maybe somebody who you work with now, you would want to connect here on LinkedIn with them, so that you can both support your organization while you're both there, or if one of you leaves, then you have that kind of connection out there in the world, following a different path that you would want to stay connected with in the future. The next icon over here is jobs. And so the really great thing about the job space of here is that it is extremely customized. So you can put in here where you're looking for jobs. You can put in potential job titles, and you can tell it to find, different variations of that job title. And so it can get very granular, or it can get very big. You can also set up notifications so that when there's something in your area or something that's in a field you're interested in, whenever those populate, you can have an email sent to you or a notification pop up letting you know that that's showing up. The messaging center is the same as pretty much any messaging center. You can send notes, you can get notes, stay connected with people. What's really important about the messaging area is whenever you are reaching out to create a new connection, or, in Facebook world, when you try and friend somebody, it's extremely important, unless you see them on a very regular basis, that you put a note in whenever you're trying to connect with them, so that they can see how you might know each other or why you would want to be connected. I fairly often have people that try and connect with me who I have never met before, cannot see based upon their profile any connections that we have together, or any reason why either one of us would professionally benefit the other. And so I usually do not accept those unless I can see a good legitimate reason, or if they send me a note telling me why they want to connect or what they might have to offer, then I will consider and connect with them if we haven't already had some kind of connection previously. Notifications, the same as any other social networking site. The notifications will tell you, if you were shared or commented on, or people who you follow, maybe comments that they've made or posts that they share. All right, so now I'm going to jump into, actually, I'm going to show you this area first real quick. So this little 9 square is called work. And these are different LinkedIn products that you can look at and you can see. So you can see the salary area, so you can see comparable salaries. So you can make sure that the offers that you're getting are in line, or you can use those to kind of create a counter offer if you're interested in that. This is LinkedIn Learning. We're going to talk a little bit more about that as we get closer to the end of our meeting, but this is where you would find LinkedIn Learning. So it's at this little 9-square Brady Bunch square over here. You click on that, and that's where LinkedIn Learning is. And there's a couple other, just things that you can do here. And then some business services. But the most important things over here for most of the people watching tonight will be the LinkedIn Learning and the salary. All right, so I'm going to X off that. Okay. So this is going to my profile. All right. So this is my LinkedIn profile. This is what your LinkedIn profile page will kind of look like. The important thing to know is that this area right here is customizable. Your headshot is customizable. Your headline here is customizable. Pretty much everything in here is customizable. And I'm going to kind of walk you through all the different parts of this so that you can understand how to create yours, because it's extremely important for you to start kind of putting this into practice as soon as possible. Okay? So the first thing that I want you to know how to do is to upload this. Okay? When you create your LinkedIn, it will encourage you to attach a headshot. Now, a headshot is what is on here, okay? That headshot has to be just your face, just your head, and it needs to be professional. It does not need to be a cutout compilation of you from your cousin's wedding with your ex holding onto your shoulder. It needs to be a professional looking photo. So the great thing is a lot of smartphones can make extremely beautiful, extremely professional looking photos with just a few settings and a few different light changes. So please do that. I apologize, my dog is in here barking at me. So make sure that you take that. So that picture was actually taken with an iPhone, and it was taken on our campus at Midway. So that's kind of what our technology can do these days, which is really nice. So make sure that you have that. The background can be, something nice and gentle, or it can be a very solid background. So like a plain wall behind you would be a really good choice. Then this area up here, this is an area that when you start, it has just a default photo, and you can change that. I would encourage you to find something that makes sense for your industry. So for me, I'm in career development. So this is what I'm all about, right? Empowering students to discover their strengths and construct their future successes. That's what I'm all about. So that's why that works for me. You can get on a number of different sites online and get images that you can place up there. So please do that. The next thing is the headline. When you create your LinkedIn, your headline will default to your current position. So if you are a student, it's going to default to student. If you have a job, so mine, it would have defaulted to Director of Career Services and Academic Success at Midway University, but you're able to change that. And the reason I want you to consider changing that is because every time you post, it's going to have your name and it's going to have your headline. So if you are looking for a new opportunity, you do not want your old opportunity to be listed every time. So I'm going to show you back on the home. So this example, Darren Dunn, that's his name, there's his headline. Josh Collins, name, headline. Name, headline. So it's really important for you to really think deeply about that. You can see his is really great, it's very short, everything fits on there. His is really long, mine is really long. And so mine, whenever I post, I have the ... at the end too, because my heading is much longer than that. So just be kind of consider and think about that as you are deciding what you want your headline to be. The next thing, as you see here, is there's an area for you to indicate if you are looking for new opportunities. So I am very happy at my job, so I have this turned off right now for recruiting purposes. I still have recruiters that reach out to me, but if you turn this on, then that is turned on their side as well. And so recruiters are very easily able to source information from your page and see if you are a viable candidate for them. So that's what I would encourage you have that on. And LinkedIn does have, you know, they do their best to protect your information from showing up at a recruiter at your current business. So say you work at a large organization and you have recruiters that work at your organization. LinkedIn will do its best to protect that you have it as set to open. They obviously can't give any guarantees, but they do try through their processes and through their back-end systems to protect you from being seen by the recruiters at your own organization. So just think about that. In this About section, what I like about that's a little bit different here than it is at most other ways to kind of share about yourself, is that in LinkedIn, you're allowed to show your personality a little bit more, and you're allowed to be a little less formal in your About section. And so for me, I decided to tell my story. And so I used this opportunity in this area to tell a little story about myself. As you can see, this does look kind of like overfilled. And so as seeing this now, I should probably go back in and put some additional spaces in there so it's a little bit easier to read. So that's something, always learning, always growing. In this featured section, so you can add in videos, you can add in documents, and you can just kind of do whatever it is that you think that you can share. So here's a presentation that I gave last year that I have tagged. This is a video I made when I came to Midway to kind of introduce us and what we do. This is important for you. This is your dashboard. So if any of you all log into LinkedIn and you go look at my page, you're not going to see this section. You're not going to see the dashboard. This is just for me. I can see who's been doing that. I've got 65 people viewing my profile. If I paid for the LinkedIn premium, I would actually be able to see a list of who they are or what their job titles were. I've made a couple posts lately. I've gotten a decent number of views, and I'm showing up in search appearances. Even though I have it turned off that I'm not looking for a new job, I'm still appearing in search appearances because of specific keywords that I have put throughout my profile, so that I am still showing up in different searches that people are looking for. This activity section is just a running list of all of the things that you've done, whether you're liking something or sharing something or reacting to something. In here, reacting is like a like, a love, a wow, surprise, celebrate, anything like that. And then the next thing is experience. When you are building your experience, you need to do it in a word processor and then copy and paste in. The word processing power in LinkedIn is very weak, so you can't do bullets in here. You can't do really great spacing. So I would encourage you, do it in Word or do it in Google Docs or Pages, and then copy and paste it into the experience area here so that visually it's more appealing. And yes, I do think that you need to do bullets as often as possible. Make it as easy as possible for others to read your page. I've got that on here. I've got my education. I got my bachelor's and master's at University of Louisville, so I have that on here. Please make sure that whatever university you decide to go to, that you connect there. Not only will you have the benefit of having education listed, but you'll gain access to the alumni pages or the current student pages for your university. And so at Midway, we have a pretty large following, which is pretty great, a pretty large following on our LinkedIn. We have a couple of thousand alums that have registered on LinkedIn with us. And so one of the great things for me is I'm able to help students who are maybe moving to Atlanta. I can look at them and see, oh, here's a list of our employees or our alumni that work in Atlanta. Let's get you connected. Oh, that person's in the same industry as you. Go on and get connected, so that way it's going to make an easier transition for you as you're moving down there. You know that you have somebody who shares some common experience with you. So that's a really helpful thing. Okay, then you can have skills and endorsements. If LinkedIn will prompt you to put some skills in. make sure that they make sense for you. And then once you have them up here, you can get endorsed and people can say, oh yes, I know that they do this. I know they do this. I know they do this. And that's what these endorsements look like here. So for my career counseling, I've been endorsed by people who I worked with previously, which is what's here, as well as others. And so that's how that area works. And then you can add accomplishments, interests. There's so many different areas that you can add on your LinkedIn. If you hit this add profile section, it'll give you a list. And then you can kind of just go through and find a bunch of different things that you can add. Okay. The last thing that you have to do, this is a have here, is over here on the right-hand side, there's edit public profile and URL. Once you click on that, you're going to get taken to a new page, and I want you to change your URL. If you look up here in that section up at the top, it says linkedin.com/in/Mackenzie Haynes. If you do not go through and edit your public profile URL, what's going to happen is it's going to have part of your name and then also a bunch of numbers and letters, which is going to be much more difficult for you to put in on your resume, and it's going to be much more difficult for you to share with others so that they can log into the system and so that they can find you. So you want to make it short and sweet, and you want it to make it your name as often as possible, okay? All right, if there's any questions on LinkedIn, please throw those into the chat, and I will get back to those in just a moment. But now I am going to go back to our presentation. Okay. So as I said, you need to make sure that you have a complete profile, and you need to be active 2 to 3 times per week. So the different things that you can be active, you can share articles, you can write a comment, you can put, you can celebrate on somebody or comment on somebody else's post. Any of those things are going to start accumulating activities, which is going to help with your grade or your relevance as recruiters are starting to look through the system. Okay, so make sure you're getting on there, stay relevant. Things that you don't post cat videos, you don't post silly things, you don't post negativity in any way. This is 100% professional. So you post positivity, and you post professional development, and you post growth opportunities. All of those things are what you're posting on LinkedIn. Leave the cat videos, leave the politics, leave all of that negative stuff for your other social media, or better yet, not online at all, so that they're not searchable in any sort of way. And that way you're going to keep your LinkedIn working for you the best way possible. Okay, now we're moving on into our resume section. Okay, so your resume has to have 5 main parts. 5 main parts. Okay, the first thing that you have to have is a header. So hopefully you have something to write with right now, because this is important. The things that you are going to put in your header are your name, your phone number, your email address, and your LinkedIn URL. You do not put your home address on your resume any longer. If you are going to be moving to somewhere, say you're relocating to a new city, you might want to put the city and state on there, simply because your phone number area code probably doesn't match where you're moving to. So you might want to consider doing that. Or if you are living somewhere that is different than what your zip code, or not your zip code, different than what your area code is, then you might want to consider putting that in there as well. But your city and state isn't necessary, and your home address, so 123 Melody Way, that does not go on your resume at all. The reason that we leave that off is because, 1, your employer doesn't need to know that at that point. 2, it's going to be on your application if you fill out an application. And 3, you don't need somebody putting your address into, Google Earth and looking to see like what neighborhood you live in, or what house or what apartment that you live in. They don't need to know that about you. And so we just leave that off. Okay, that's the first thing that you're going to have on there. The second thing you're going to have is your professional statement. Your professional statement is an upgrade from the objective statement. So back about 10, 15 years ago, the objective statement is what everyone was putting on a resume. And it was all about what I want from a company, what I'm going to grow into. And that is so kind of opposite of what we're trying to do right now. right now in the world of professional development, we're really focused on what we have to offer, what we have to give to the company, what we can help them do. And so when you're working on crafting your professional statement, you want to be very accomplishment focused, and you want to be sharing skills that are going to benefit the company in some sort of way. In a resume, we don't use I, me, or my. So it's not I am da 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 da. It is you're kind of writing more like phrasings, or you're writing your sentences as, Midway University, MBA graduate, searching through and offering blah, 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 blah. So if you need help crafting that, that's something I can help you with on a one-on-one basis to make sure that we're getting everything as organized and as appropriate for you and the opportunities you're looking for. Okay. So professional statements, 1 to 2 sentences, very short and sweet, but we wanted them to be very clear on what your skills are and what you have to offer, because that's kind of the first idea that the hiring manager or the recruiter is going to see and know about you. And so that's where you really want to make sure that you sell yourself very elegantly in that section. The last 3 sections of the resume that are the have-tos can be posted on your resume in any order. It depends on what content you have for each of those sections. And it also has to do with how far into your professional path you are, as well as what kind of the needs are for the position. So for instance, if you are changing career fields, then you're probably going to want to have skills listed kind of a bit higher, because you want to be able to show those skills that you have that are helping you transition into this new role. And then if you are going into a position that maybe is a step above where you are right now, you probably want to have that experience be the first thing that's listed, because that shows your growth and where you're going to be going into. So depending upon what you're applying for, it will change which of those next 3 things that you have listed. So I'm just going to explain what each of the 3 parts are and how you organize those in their own parts. And then if you need help working on your resume and trying to decide which do I list where, then we can work on that on a one-on-one. But I'm going to talk about education first. So when you're listing your education, you're going to list from the newest degree that you've earned to the oldest. If you have been out of high school and you have another degree, if you've been out of high school at least 2 years, or you've had your GED for at least 2 years and you have another degree, then I want you to drop high school. Or if you're currently enrolled in something. So if you are enrolling in our programs, then you can just have Midway University listed, and you don't have to have your high school or GED listed anymore. If you are going for an advanced degree, or you've earned an advanced degree, you're going to have that listed, and then you're going to have your undergraduate listed, and you're still going to drop that high school off. Once you have matriculated into college, then we drop high school, is pretty much kind of how we go about through doing that. Once you are done earning your degrees and you've been out of your degree process for at least 5 years, then you can drop your year of graduation off. So again, if you are out of your degree programs and you've been out for at least 5 years, you can drop your graduation date. If you are currently in the program, if you're currently in a college program, then what you need to do is have that in there. You don't put when you start to where you think you're going to end. You just put expected graduation date, and you put May, August, December, and whatever the year is. That's all they need to know, so that they know that, okay, this person, maybe it's a requirement to have a bachelor's degree for this position. I see that this person is applying. They're going to have their bachelor's in May. Okay, now that makes a little bit of sense of why they went on and applied for this job. Okay, let's continue looking at their resume and see what else is on there. The next is skills. So in skills, you need to have listed both the technical skills and the soft skills, or essential skills that are necessary for the position. And so how you decide what to put in the skills area is you start by looking at the job description. And for those of y'all who are just saying, well, I just need a resume for everything, you can start there, but you need to tailor your resume for the position you're applying to. So for us, what that means is that you are going to be putting together a skills list based upon what they say are the requirements for the job, what are the recommended for the job. Any of those skills that you have, you want to make sure are showing up on your resume. And you're going to list them in your skills section, and we're also going to pepper them in through that professional statement that's up high, as well as through your experience. Okay? So any keywords that you can see or anything that you see is very important to the employer because they list on the job description, maybe more than once. You want to make sure that's on your resume if you have it. Okay? If you have that skill, that's what I mean. Okay, so now we're moving into experience. When you're listing your experiences, you list in reverse chronological order. What that means is that your newest position is on the top, down to your oldest position at the bottom. Okay. You do not have to put every job you've ever had on your resume. Your resume should not be longer than 2 pages. So that might mean that we're dropping some irrelevant or extremely old positions off. I believe that what you need to have on your resume needs to be the most relevant and what sells you the best. So if you're going into a position or you're applying for a position and you had a similar position maybe 7 years ago, and then you went kind of a different direction and now you're coming back to it, you want to make sure that that similar position has the largest footprint on your resume. So it needs to be a little bit longer, it needs to be a little bit more detailed, it needs to be the one that kind of pops a little bit quicker versus the one that you've had more recently. You can have a little bit shorter, a little bit more succinct, obviously show the skills that you've gained in that position, but you want them to be able to see, hey, they have these skills, she's got all this already, okay, that's good to know, let's keep on going, let's keep reading. And so that's going to be something that's really important for you to think about when you are working on crafting your experience section. The things that you need to make sure that you have listed for every employer. You need to have your job title. You need to have your employer. You need to have the years of employment. Month and years would be best. Month and years of employment there. And then you need to have a few bullet points about accomplishments that you had while you were there. You need to have some information on there about supervision that you provided, new things that you innovated. It needs to have as much above and beyond just a job description that you can have. Now, some job description is going to be necessary, but you also want to make sure that you're taking that next step and going above and beyond and showing what you did and what you accomplished. Not just what did they say I had to do, but these are all the other things I did, or here's are the extra things I did, or here's how I went above and beyond. As much as you can, you need to quantify. So if you improved customer service skills or customer service ratings by 10%, that needs to be on there. Or if you improved efficiency by some odd percent, put that on there. Don't just make up random numbers. Actually put some math and put some energy into really discovering the answers to these things and finding these numbers. If you served a certain number of people, if you took care of a certain number of horses, everything that you can do to quantify the work that you did, you want to be able to do that because numbers visually pop out on a resume. When you see a number on something, your eye just goes to it. And so if you can start putting some numbers into your resume, quantifying the things that you accomplished, those are going to really pop out to the readers. So you want to do that. So in the experience section again, we've got our job title listed, we have our employer listed, we have our months and years of employment, and we have our accomplishments. We quantify when we can. All of that is listed in there for experience. So hopefully that is a helpful little piece. So now how you craft your resume together is extremely dependent upon, again, what you're applying for and what kind of experience you're bringing to the table. So it's really important for really every single position that you apply for, you are going to make some tweaks to this resume. I recommend that you save one resume that is like your master resume, and you just make copies of that and name it, resume and the job that you're applying for. That way you can make sure that each one is very customized to the position and you have as many keywords as possible. So when I say keywords, what you need to do is you need to have the job description pulled up, and you need to be looking through that. Anything that job description lists more than once is important enough that you need to make sure that you have that. So if you can find a way to put that into your experience section, as well as into your professional statement, as well as in your skills, 3 different places, what that's going to do if you are uploading your resume into an online system is the computer system is built to search keywords. So if they have keywords a lot in a job description, they probably are searching for those keywords on your resume. And if you are matching up and your keyword match is high, it's going to rate your resume higher in their list. So they might have 350 applicants, and every single one of those applicants is going to be run through this system. So as much as you can do to get your resume from the bottom of the pile to the top of the pile, you want to do that. And you want to have those things included. And you want to have as much of a keyword match as possible. That's what you're going to do. One of the ways that you can really ensure that keyword match is that underneath your experiences, have each of those bullets that I talked about a minute ago, have them start with action verbs. So if you can have action verbs listed on there, that's really going to help with the keyword search, and it's going to help make you look extremely polished and put together and very action oriented. And that's what we want. You could say responsible for ... And that's great. Or you can say that you collaborated with and organized through and managed and manipulated, and all of those verbs that you can use are really helpful. And if you just do a simple Google search for resume action verbs, there's a lot of really great resources out there for you. Or send me an email and I'll send you the document that I have saved on my computer that I use whenever I'm working with individuals on their resume. All right, now, as much as it's important to know what to put on your resume, it's also important to know what to leave off of your resume. So the first thing, leave off pictures. You do not put your picture on your resume. The purpose of a resume is to get an interview, right? That's the purpose. So we want to do everything that we can on our resume to put our best foot forward and to reduce barriers to getting an interview. If you are putting your picture on your resume, that is a barrier. Also, it is revealing information that the individual does not have the right to have, because it can maybe give an indication of your age. That's a protected status. It could give information about your abilities, protected status. You want to be very aware of the things that you're sharing, and if you are sharing something that is a protected status, that you shouldn't be sharing at this stage of the game. So be really considerate about that and how the things that you're sharing might help or hurt you. Okay. Last, references available upon request. This is not something that you need to be putting on your resume anymore. It is expected that if you're applying that you have some references. So do not waste any space on your resume having that information. They're going to get your references when you show up for that interview, because what you're going to do is you're going to create a separate document that is your reference list. And you're going to have your references listed, as well as contact information for those references that you pre-asked before you put them on this piece of paper. And then you're going to write a couple sentences about how you worked with them and what aspects of yourself they can speak to. So maybe you have a former supervisor and you write in there that they can speak on your ability to stay organized, stay on task, get a team together, so on and so forth. So start telling your readers what they can expect whenever they call your references. What are they going to hear? What can that reference specifically talk about for you? And then you're gonna prep your references. You're gonna tell them, you saw me when I did this project and when I hit this goal, and so I'm letting them know that is some of the stuff that you know about me. So then your references are prepared when they get that phone call. Okay, the next thing that we're going to do is jump into online interviewing. Let me check our chat section really quickly. Make sure we're all good to go. All right, I don't see my chat popping up, so I'm going to just hide that back down. Okay, so the next thing that I want to touch base on real quick is the online interviewing. And so what's really important right now is in this time of being in our homes, the rise in remote work is amazing to see because there's so many opportunities that are getting created out there. The part about online work and remote work that people don't understand is you have to interview remotely first. And so a couple quick tips. First pro tip is do not hold your phone. Your arms are going to get tired. You're going to get, loosey-goosey, and it's going to kind of move around a lot, and you don't want to do that. You want to be very intentional. And so you can set it up against a book. You can set it somewhere so that it is close enough to you that you can see. Also realize that if you're doing an online interview that you can't control what people are watching you on. So they might have you on their big screen. So if you're sitting really, really close like this, it's going to look really awkward for them. If you're really too far away and your volume can't get picked up, that's going to be an issue too. So it's a good thing to do is to practice using this technology ahead of time so that you are prepared for what it's going to look like, so there won't be any surprises on your end. Make sure that you have good lighting. So make sure that you don't have lighting behind you. So if I had big lights back here, that would be really difficult for you to see. So what you want to do is you want to have the light behind the camera facing towards you. That's going to help with the lighting process of it. And then make sure you have a simple background. So make sure that you are against a blank wall. Do not be sitting on your bed and let your headboard be obvious behind you. Okay? That has been a very interesting thing that's been coming through a lot lately when I've been having meetings is I know that people are sitting on their bed. And that's just kind of strange. Make sure that if you have something behind you or you have a room behind you, if there's a TV in the background, make sure it's off. I've had some interviews and my eyes just keep getting drawn to that TV and what TV show are they watching? What is going on back there? So control your background as much as possible and control the noise around you. If you're like me, you are home with family and animals. I don't know how my dog got in here because I had all the doors closed, but my guess is somebody was trying to get rid of him. So you have to be aware of those things and kind of protect off of that. Also, something that might seem strange, when you are doing this, you need to look at the camera the whole time. You're going to want to look at the person who's talking, and you're going to want to respond to that image of them. But what you need to do so that they can see you as best as possible is you need to be staring at that camera. You need to be staring at that little light because that is what's going to make it seem like you have eye contact whenever you're having this virtual conversation. So I know you're going to want to look at their face, but what you need to do is look at the camera, and that's going to help you come across as genuine as possible. Okay, I went through a lot. I talked a lot. I know that I gave you a lot of information on a wide variety of topics. So the last thing that we had is growing skills. During this time, I was listening to a podcast or a webinar the other day, and instead of calling this time that we're in as a crisis, they talked about how it's a moment of pause and it's a time of opportunity. And I've been seeing all over my social media people saying, you kept saying that you wanted to have time to clean the house or to do this or to learn this or to be this, and now you've got it. So if you're in a time right now where you have a lot of time on your hands, I would encourage you to be purposeful in growing skills in this time. I have no doubt that this time is going to be something that comes into our interviews. what did you do to help yourself be successful during the COVID-19 crisis? What did you do to learn something or to do something or to be something more during this time? And so you want to be able to have an answer for that. And so I would suggest some of these steps that I have on here and growing your skills. And so the first skill that I have listed that you can do in LinkedIn Learning. So once you get in LinkedIn, you get your LinkedIn up and going. It's extremely important for that. What I want you to do is get in LinkedIn Learning and check out the different skills that you can grow in that platform. They're super helpful, super easy to go through, and a real benefit. Another tool that you can use is listening to different podcasts and doing webinars. So I have been lucky enough to find a ton of free resources right now on podcasts, on webinars. A lot of people who normally charge hundreds and thousands of dollars to provide training are giving away their resources for free right now. So I'd encourage you checking those out, finding a couple that you can learn a couple of different skills on. And then finally, another one is take a class. Here at Midway University, we have 5 different starts in a year. We have classes starting in June is our next start time, then August, October, January, and March. So there's always a time that you can get started. All of our online classes are 8 weeks long, so you can get that opportunity to get in and earn a skill, earn some credits pretty quickly. And so if you are saying, I was in a position where my position was cut, I don't want to be in a position like that again in the future, now is a good time to get that degree and to get that opportunity for to move up in a position or to move into a new industry. We see who's still working right now, and it might be a time for you to kind of prepare to go in a different route. So I would definitely encourage you taking a class. Like I said, we have Matt Bunch on this call with us tonight. So if you have any questions about any of that, you can definitely reach out to him and get that information. And if you have any other questions about anything that we've gone over tonight, any of the tools or resources that I've shared, please reach out to me. One of the great things at Midway University is our goal is to offer professional development to all of our students and all of our alum. And so these kinds of activities are things that we offer fairly often, and we do the one-on-one coaching and group coaching for all of our students and our alumni populations. And so I'm happy to help anybody as they're trying to find their next step in this time. So please feel free to reach out to me. And I will put my contact information on here. So I am Mackenzie Haynes. My contact information is here. Phone number, it is textable, so feel free to text. Email address, and then @HireMidway. That's my handle on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. So that's where you can find career development, growth skills from the Midway University Office of Student Success and for the Career Services Office. So I really appreciate you joining us tonight. I hope that you got some helpful tips. I hope you took some good notes. If you have any other questions or need anything, we'll be on for the next couple of minutes. Otherwise, again, we appreciate you, and we hope that you and your family stay well. Thanks so much.